I played 3 hours of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, thanks to Sony for inviting me to the cool hands-on event in London, and my god, Insomniac really stepped up their game with a ton of cinematic Uncharted-like moments where I was on the edge of my seat. Don't worry, I won't spoil too much of the main story, this is all very early and I love discovering some things for the first time as well. So the demo started a couple of hours into the game where Peter had to fight off Kraven's hunters and already had his symbiote suit and new powers. I could use the familiar symbiote punch to smash enemies against objects, symbiote strike, where Peter turns into a spiked symbiote ball and launches himself at a target, and symbiote yank, or as I would like to call it, symbiote yeet, where symbiote tentacles grab and slam enemies into the ground. Symbiote Blast was a new ability where a ton of tentacles jumped out of Peter for crowd control. Speaking of enemies, we got new robo-dogs that have an attack that could cancel your abilities, so it's smart to take them out first, which was a cool twist. And there should, by the way, be more abilities in the final game next to an ultimate that I could already try, called Symbiote Surge. With this, Peter powers himself up so you can very quickly do takedowns on enemies for a certain duration. You can activate this by filling up the surge meter, which you find in the top right corner of the screen, similar to what was introduced in Miles Morales. But the sad part is that this symbiote ultimate is instead of the really cool suit powers that we saw in the first game, like the guitar power from the Spider-Punk outfit and the holo decoy from the Scarlet Spider suit. Those made the suits way more unique, and it's a bummer that these suit powers will not be in Spider-Man 2. The Iron Spider legs from the Iron Spider suit are integrated in some available skills though, so we can luckily use those again in cool new ways. I was, by the way, able to interview core tech director Mike Fitzgerald, and he confirmed that we can use the symbiote powers while wearing every suit in the game. So you don't have to switch to the symbiote suit all the time, you do see the suit a lot in main story cutscenes still. And there were some really cool suits available during the demo, including one most of you will recognize, but more on the suits later in the video. After some main story missions and fighting sequences with Peter, I got switched over to Miles Morales and could do some side activities in the open world. The familiar reported crimes are back, like fighting enemies in an alleyway to chasing a car. There are also photo ops again, where you have to take pictures of specific landmarks in an area. But we've also got the base activities, this time filled with hunters to defeat, and there was also a similar activity called Hunter Blinds, where I had to beat hunters on a rooftop and eventually unlocked another location that would lead me to another hunter hideout. Not sure what the purpose of this is yet, but it was fun to do. Another new activity that I liked a lot and that I could try out with Miles were these drone chases, where while using the web wings I had to pursue a bird drone and stay in its slipstream to gather data. I have to admit, I still had to find my way around while using these new wings, but when I got the hang of it, it was really enjoyable. And don't worry, a ton of these activities like the hunter bases and photo ops can be completed with both Spider-Man. But there are also character exclusive side missions, like one for Miles called Culture Museum, where I had to help turn on a security system again after criminals sabotaged it to steal instruments. I infiltrated the museum as a spider bot and had to distract criminals by shooting webs at objects like this toilet, for example. So yes, these missions are back. Cool though is that the game notified me that completing all of these results in getting a new suit, so I'm definitely going to try to finish them all. Next to these, there are of course also collectibles to hunt, no backpacks this time, but spider bots with various designs. They are scattered all around New York City and you will receive tech parts for them as well to upgrade your gadgets, so a rewarding grind if you're up for it. I saw some really cool designs already, like an Into the Spider-Verse one, but also Spider Armor MK3. I'm up for the Easter egg hunt for sure, and you can also collect these with both Spider-Man. And maybe you already noticed that after collecting this spider bot, a progress bar appeared on screen, which is also linked to fast travel. We'll go over that, the suits, and more. Of course, if you liked the video so far, then leaving a like would be awesome, and subscribe as we are just getting started with the Spider-Man 2 content. So yes, fast traveling has been completely changed in the sequel, where previously you could unlock points on the map like the science labs for Peter and the subway stations for Miles. These are not needed anymore. You instead have to unlock the ability to fast travel by completing enough activities per district as tracked by this progress bar. Once you reach the fast travel icon that you see in the middle of the bar, you can drop anywhere you want inside of that district. So spawn there in the blink of an eye, but yes, that does mean that the cool fast travel cutscenes we had before in the subway are no longer in the game. No, instead, we will find these little vignettes when switching between characters. During main missions, the game will decide when you play Miles or Peter, but in the open world, you can switch freely between them using the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man app. And then when you switch to Peter, for example, you will see him hanging from a building, and Miles had these unique intros as well. And according to Mike, there are a lot of variations, so it will be fun to see them all. But yeah, it's up to you who you want to play most of the open world content with, and while Peter's symbiote powers are of course really cool, we shouldn't underestimate Miles either. He has newly evolved venom powers like chain lightning, where he pushes enemies into each other to cause a chain reaction, and thunderburst, where Miles jumps into the air and launches himself onto enemies, electrocuting them. But also returning ones from his previous game like Venom Smash and Venom Jump are available to use and upgrade in his skill tree. Miles also has an ultimate power just like Peter. We unfortunately don't have footage of this, but it reminded me of the ending of Miles Morales, where he built up a ton of venom power and eventually released it. In the demo, we could use this to damage all the enemies around us, which was really cool. Next to the active abilities, both Spider-Men are able to use the same gadgets in combat, which are slotted in the right corner of the screen. You of course got your web shooters, but I also got to try out 2 new ones. The web grabber that lets you pull multiple enemies together, really great for a little bit of crowd control, and the upshot. We unfortunately don't have footage of this, but it sends multiple enemies in the air, also making them vulnerable to air combos, or you can yank them down, so great in combination with the symbiote yank. As I already mentioned, you can upgrade these gadgets with tokens again, which you can gather by doing activities in the open world, and they all have a max of 5 upgrade levels. There were also 2 other gadget slots that were still a mystery. I asked Mike, but unfortunately he couldn't say anything about them, so I assume we will figure that out while playing the full game. There are also newly updated skill trees, one for Miles and one for Peter, but also one with upgrades for both Spider-Man. And there is really a ton to choose from. I made a quick drawing to give you an idea, so there's a tree to upgrade your symbiote and evolved venom powers, but also the new parry feature, which we will cover in a bit, and new ways to traverse, like the slingshot ability where you can launch yourself into the air to get a speed boost while activating the web wings. You're also able to use super slingshots, which are placed all around the open world to launch yourself even further. And every suit I have seen so far has unique web wings, by the way, which is really cool. Brian Interhar noted that there are over 65 suits to collect and 200 ways to customize them. That's right, you can now unlock 3 color variants for most of the suits you find in the game by finding the right tokens to craft them. I had access to 5 for each character, including one from the Digital Deluxe Edition, the apocalyptic suit for Peter, and the encoded suit for Miles. These are only available for people who buy the more expensive editions of the game. And by the way, we are doing a giveaway for the Digital Deluxe Edition, which you can enter via the link in the pinned comment, and be sure you are a subscriber of the channel if you want to participate. The 10th anniversary suit for Miles was totally one of my favorite regular outfits, that is of course from the comics, and here you see my favorite for Peter, the Secret Wars Civil War suit, also known as Spider-Falcon from the Secret Wars comics. I absolutely love this one, especially the design of the web wings to match his Falcon persona. Other suits we could choose from were of course the starting outfits, the Advanced 2.0 for Peter, and the upgraded suit for Miles. Miles also got the Miles Morales 2099 suit and the Boricua suit, which is a reference to Miles' Hispanic heritage. I couldn't find any reference of that suit online, so this must be an original one made by Insomniac, but correct me if I'm wrong. And for Peter, next to the symbiote suit, there was one other outfit that was available to play, the webbed black suit, inspired by the one from the Spider-Man 3 movie. That's right, totally fitting the Venom and symbiote vibes. And of course we can expect even more comic and movie inspired suits, fingers crossed for Indian Spider-Man, and there will be new suits made by Insomniac as well. The demo concluded with an epic boss fight against Dr. Connors, aka Lizard, and it really put my combat skills to the test. Mini and big bosses now have extended health bars, and big bosses also have multiple faces and a variety of tricks to keep you on your toes. During this sequence I also had to use the new parry feature a lot. Sometimes during combat you will encounter enemies that use heavy attacks on you, which you are not able to dodge. You have to parry these in order to stagger them and counter-attack. This was something I really needed to get used to. I even forgot the ability existed sometimes, but after a while it felt really cool to press R1 at the right time when the circle is red and perform a counter. Although Lizard's fight also introduced the crush attacks that you recognized by the blue circle. You cannot parry or block these, so dodging is the only possible option. It was challenging, but after paying attention to his moveset, I eventually figured out how to beat him. And trust me when I say this was a very cool sequence, and I can't wait for you all to try it out yourself. Overall, the demo felt very ambitious with lots of new things to do, the increased map size, which is 2 times as large as the original, the more challenging combat, it's all very promising. And what I saw of the main story was also very intriguing. It was great to see these characters again, and they looked stunning in the new cutscenes that could easily hit emotional notes. I have to say though, that the 3 hours could get a little overwhelming. Brian did warn us about this because there was a lot of stuff being thrown at you all at once, but maybe if you really start the game from the beginning, this will be less of an issue. Either way, I'm very excited about the game with fidelity and performance mode available at launch. Insomniac couldn't share anything about New Game Plus or DLC at the time of this recording. They want to focus on releasing the main game first, but there might be something happening after October 20th. And we are of course also just getting started, so totally subscribe to not miss the next Spider-Man 2 video. We got a ton of plans for the game. A like on this video would really help us out, and if you want, you can watch our previous video by clicking on the screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!